The top quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, suffered red head and neck injuries in the second quarter of Thursday's loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. It was not a pretty sight, and it definitely gave everyone chills, but on the upside, he gave an excellent update on his health on Friday. We're going to look deeply into Tagovailoa's health in this video. Let's get straight into it. First up, just what in the hell went down that day? First came the hit, then the hands. During a Thursday night game against Cincinnati on September 29th, Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa had a concussion after taking a heavy hit, likely his second head injury in 4 days, and his hands appeared to be frozen in a very weird, gravely alarming manner. Tagovailoa was lying on the ground on his back, his hands tense, lifted over his face, fingers fanned in all directions. The cameras for Amazon Prime Video even provided a zoomed-in view. The network's decisions over which photos to broadcast and how long have raised concerns about how TV portrays upsetting and occasionally gruesome injuries, just as that incident renewed discussion about how the NFL treats concussions. From that point on, the game's focus was on his injury, particularly considering what happened the Sunday before against Buffalo when he was pushed down while making a ball, held his head as he got back up and fell. Although club doctors did not expressly check him for a back injury, the Dolphins were concerned. According to the NFL, Tagovailoa underwent a concussion examination and passed all the procedures to resume playing. Next, don't worry, the star's looking good. In a statement, Tagovailoa said that he wants to thank everyone for all their thoughts and support since the game last night. It was frustrating not to finish the game and support his teammates, but he's grateful for the kindness and support he has received from the Dolphins, his friends and family, and everyone else who has reached out. He claims to be feeling considerably better and is now concentrating on recovering so he can rejoin his teammates on the field. After being sacked by Bengals Josh Tupou and striking his head on the ground, Tagovailoa was carried to a hospital in Cincinnati on a stretcher. There is no estimated time frame for his return because he was diagnosed with a concussion. 4 days before the incident, Tagovailoa had undergone testing for a concussion following a Week 3 game against the Buffalo Bills. In the second quarter of that game, Tagovailoa struck his head on the ground and struggled to stand as he attempted to return to the huddle. After being taken out of the action to be checked for a concussion, Tagovailoa was able to rejoin the action for the second half. During the game, he claimed to have passed the concussion protocol. The league's senior medical officer, Dr. Alan Sills, committed to making the findings of the investigation public. The NFL and the NFLPA are currently looking into Tagovailoa's concussion assessment. Moving on, Tagovailoa's brother recalls watching his brother go down on the field. Taulia Tagovailoa, Tua's brother, is a quarterback for Maryland. Taulia remembered being in Virginia watching the game with some family members when his brother was wheeled off the field while immobile to be transferred to a hospital. He didn't feel like playing in Maryland's next game. The Maryland Terrapins were supposed to play Michigan State 2 days after Tua Tagovailoa's injury, but the quarterback didn't make it to the field. He claimed all he wanted was to be with his family and hug them as they waited for word from his brother, but that attitude rapidly changed after speaking on the phone with Tua. Tua told his brother that he's a huge fan of their team and that he would prefer to watch them play on Saturday. Right after the call, Taulia felt content and returned to his routine. Taulia Tagovailoa visited his brother Tua in South Florida shortly after his team's victory over Michigan State on Saturday. The younger brother said he only wanted to make sure his brother was okay and that he did so by spending a little over 24 hours with him. Now, what policy changes have followed this truly traumatizing event? Overall, according to the NFL, Tua's concussion protocol was handled flawlessly. There were no problems with the team doctor, the outside doctor, the follow-up care, etc. No problem? Well, we think yes. There was a problem. The NFLPA used its right to terminate the unaffiliated doctor who permitted Tua to play against the Bills again. The NFL says, ask the union. When asked why, although this inquiry was in theory a partnership, in addition, regardless of a concussion diagnosis, return-to-play regulations have been changed to exclude athletes who show ataxia, wobbling, or instability after a head injury. In other words, athletes won't be able to make a comeback like Tagovailoa did against against the Dolphins. As the replacement of Tagovailoa comes, this new policy has already been put into action. The NFL simply stated that despite what we witnessed, Tagovailoa was given the best treatment possible. Really? Even if we accept the league's findings, how was it NFL policy in 2022 to permit a player to return to play despite him being unsteady and wobbling after banging his head on the ground? Lastly, what does this injury mean for the Dolphins? To fill in for Tagovailoa, while he is out indefinitely, the Dolphins will probably turn to Teddy Bridgewater. With a 3-1 record, Miami leads the AFC East and will take on the New York Jets the following weekend. Now on to NFLPA claiming to pursue every legal option for player safety. First up, what's the options available to them? DeMaurice Smith, the executive director of the NFL Players Association, said the union would take legal grounds while looking into whether Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa ought to have taken part in Thursday's game against the Cincinnati Bengals. As to Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, when Tagovailoa was carried off the field on a stretcher and brought to the hospital for evaluation of head and neck injuries, Smith delivered a statement to two members of the Amazon broadcast crew, Andrew Whitworth and Richard Sherman. Smith said they insisted on these rules to avoid just this situation and that they will explore every legal option, including referring to doctors, to licensing authorities, and the team that protects their players. In the past, the NFLPA looked into whether Tagovailoa ought to have played in Sunday's contest against the Buffalo Bills after passing through the concussion protocol. Next, let's go over the happenings in more detail this time. When Tagovailoa smacked his head on the field during the Week 3 game against Buffalo, he fell to his feet and had trouble staying balanced. He left the game for a moment but came back after the break. The NFL felt convinced that the right procedures were followed, according to Jeff Miller, Vice President of Communications for the NFL, on Wednesday. Before Thursday's game, Concussion Legacy Foundation CEO Chris Nowinski stated the Dolphins quarterback shouldn't be permitted to play. After a tough tackle on Thursday night, Tagovailoa stayed down for a while, which sparked criticism on social media about the way his situation was handled. Later, the Dolphins disclosed that, following his release from the hospital, he was expected to fly back to Miami with the group. As of Friday morning, Miami has made no news statements regarding changes to his status. A timeline for the NFLPA's inquiry into the Dolphins' handling of last week's concussion protocol enforcement was not given. Here's what you should know about the ongoing inquiry. The league's chief medical officer has made a statement regarding the horrible incident, saying that they want to be honest and upfront about this. He also added that they aspire to grow, learn, and become better. And when it comes to identifying and treating these injuries, they want to be the best in the world. So if they discover they didn't live up to expectations or that there are things they need to change, they'll be honest about it. On an ending note, he said that if the concussion protocol was not followed that day, there will be extremely serious implications. Although head coach Mike McDaniel told reporters that Tagovailoa had passed the concussion protocol each day before the game, the Dolphins have still come under heavy fire for allowing him to play against the Bengals on Thursday night. His response to the criticism? Well, here goes. He said that he firmly believes in the medical procedure in relation to the game's athletes. He claimed that they're a player-friendly company, and he's quite clear that his role here is for the players right from the start. He added that all that matters to him greatly and nobody in the building veers off course from that. Lastly, he claimed he wouldn't have been able to live with himself if he had prematurely put someone out there and put them in danger while there might have been any unresolved issues with the guy's mind. Well, that's a wrap for this video. Who do you think is to blame for Tagovailoa's injury? Let us know in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and we'll see you in the next one.